Well, Russell Brand was baptized in Christ earlier this week, and he seems to be genuine about his profession of faith. Take a listen to him talking with Jordan Peterson on a clip I pulled from Ruslan KD's YouTube page.
You've talked about being spectacularly successful in the land of hedonistic whim, let's say, and you've discussed, well, you were kind of an icon for that, right? And a model for that even. And so, you know, you're emblematic of that, of the success of that approach. But that didn't work.
Now listen to some of what Russell Brand was saying.
There does indeed seem to be a serpent. There do indeed appear to be fallen angels. There do indeed appear to be ulterior forces at work. For I am struck that when I was an emblem of this culture in my hedonism, I was gloried and made much of. And when I say there is something else, we must move towards God. This is when the culture comes alive. This is when the spotlight shines. This is when the knock at the door comes. This is when forces are marshaled.
Now, he has received some support and a lot of backlash from people who follow his account, as shown from these comments posted by the YouTube page, Whaddo You Meme.
You got baptized, so you are now in the cult of the delusional who think that if they pray to a sky daddy, all your problems will be solved. You had everything you needed from the start. You are capable of anything without an imaginary friend. I'm disappointed in you because I thought you were an intelligent man, but now I don't know what to think. The religious high will wear off eventually, just like the drug highs. He just hasn't experienced that part yet. How did this religiosity happen? You used to be so free-thinking and open-minded. Christianity is the opposite. I was brought up a Catholic, and I don't wish to hear anything resembling Christianity. Why, Russell, why? Stop that religious nonsense and do what you do best. For someone who constantly seeks the truth, Christianity is the worst place to find it. There is no God. It's all nonsense. Good luck basing your whole life on a book of fiction.
It is interesting that Jordan Peterson, going through his own highly documented faith journey, talks about Russell Brand as the poster child for hedonism, or just living for yourself. And Brand agrees and laments that no matter how much he tried to fill himself up with drugs or alcohol, partying, or women, it never satisfied. This is the unfortunate answer for atheists at the end of the day. Temporal things will never satisfy a soul that was meant to live forever. We all face questions like, who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? And we have tried to answer these questions apart from God, but the answers that come back apart from God are pretty dark and terrible.
If you would like to learn this sort of Christian information in a fun way, check out our board game in the description section below, or go to welcometotruth.com for more Christian education and apologetics.
The answer would go something like this. You are the accidental byproduct of nature. There is no reason behind your existence, no purpose, no destiny. All that awaits you is death. Without God, man's life is, as William Lane Craig puts it, ultimately absurd. Again, if God does not exist, we are ultimately doomed to die. The universe is doomed to die. Dr. Craig shows that if there is no God, then like all biological organisms, like the zebra that gets chased down by the cheetah or the fish eaten by the bear, our death would be just as insignificant. We would pop up like grass of the field, live under the sun, and then wither and die a bit later, forever. Without God, our life here would have ultimately meant nothing. If God does not exist, then a couple hundred years from now, no one will remember you, and probably even sooner than that. Do you remember your great-great-great-grandfather, who they were, what kind of life they led? I doubt it. Without God, your life will not be remembered. It will be forgotten. You will be forgotten, and your life will have meant nothing. Apart from God, life would ultimately be without meaning, value, or purpose. A person's life apart from God might be important relative to certain other events, but if all of those other events are ultimately temporal and meaningless as well, what could be the ultimate significance of influencing any of them? Without God, man is no more significant than a swarm of bees, for their end is all the same. If man ends in nothing, then he ultimately is nothing. But guess what? The story gets worse. If life itself ends in the grave, if there is nothing further after that, then the person who lives good is no better than the person who lives terrible. The reward is the same for both of them. Do you see that? What benefit is there to living a good life? Matter of fact, apart from God, there is not even a concept of what good is. To understand this better, check out that video. But without God, the person that lives good ultimately lies face down in the dirt, and they will be forgotten, and any good deeds they did would mean nothing in the greater scheme of things, which is death and nothingness. If life ends in the grave, it makes no difference whether you live as Joseph Stalin or Mother Teresa. There is no difference. One is no greater than the other once they all hit the dirt. If your destiny, your future, where you end up is ultimately unrelated to your behavior on earth, then you may as well just live however you please. For the consequences of living good are the same as the consequences of living bad. As Dr. Craig says, moral values are either just expressions of personal taste or else the byproduct of biological evolution and social conditioning. And who's to say whose values are right and whose are wrong? So in this atheistic worldview, you could not condemn anything like murder or rape as morally evil. To kill someone or to love someone are morally equivalent without God and His standard. If all that awaits us is death, what is the purpose of life? There is no reasons, it just happened by chance. If God does not exist, then all we are left with is despair. However, if God exists, which He does, then there is hope for us. If God exists, then there are consequences for my actions here. If He exists, there is a purpose for my life here on this earth.
So God bless you, Russell Brand and Jordan Peterson, on your faith journeys. I pray you will be drawn closer and closer to Christ.
Hey guys, these videos take hours and hours to make. Boost my energy up by buying me a coffee in the description section of this video. Thanks so much.
And if you want to make educational videos like this, check out the Pictory link below in the description section. We'll see you in that video over there.